In this video, I'm going to run through the UX audit template that we've set up to help you perform a UX audit. This video isn't about performing the UX audit or creating a UX audit. This is how to use the template. We'll go into a bit of how to do the audit, but this is more about how to set up the template and run through it in order that you can do your audit. Firstly, if you head to this URL up here, and I'll put that in the description of this video so you can get the link to that. And then once you're at this page here, just hit open in Figma. If you're logged in already, you'll get taken straight into Figma. If not, you just have to go through the sign up process, which is really quick. And it's also a free tool. There is a paid for option, but in order to, I think that's for kind of multiple projects, but if you just want to do a UX audit using this template, you can use a free Figma account. So just hit open there, and then you'll get what looks like this file. So I'm just going to zoom out so you can see what's included. So we've got some instructions down here on the left hand side, and on the right you've got the basis of the template for the UX audit. This is where the meat of the UX audit is, if you like, so where you put your screenshots and your comments and where you review a web page or an app. And then at the end you've got the UX audit score and takeaways. So in this bit you score and put the key takeaways in here. So I'm just going to run through first the instructions and then we'll get into how to use this structure. Okay, right, let's go. So UX audit. So UX audit is how you perform and improve the UX audit, and improve the performance of your website or app. So this explains what's a UX audit and why it's important. So it's basically an examination of your website. So you can do your entire website. You can focus on one key page or maybe a flow like a checkout flow. And the process involves evaluating the usability, accessibility, and overall user satisfaction. And I'll go through the 3 key UX principles we use for this. And why do a UX audit like this? So what we want to do is move away from a subjective review of a website. So things like, I don't like that logo or I don't like that color, more to an objective review using UX principles and best practices so that we can actually examine it in the right way and make sure that everything that we're reviewing we can use to improve the website or the app that we are looking at. So what you need to run it, so you need this template and then 3 UX principles. The first one is value. So how can we communicate and enhance user benefit to motivate the users to do the thing that we want them to do? How can we remove any friction, so enhance that flow and reduce any barriers? And distraction, how can we eliminate anything that's unnecessary and maintain focus throughout an experience or on one key page? And how to conduct the UX audit using this template and checklist. So further down here is a checklist on things to go through, and but this UX audit just helps you to decide on which areas to focus on. You take a screenshot of a site, you add that screenshot to this audit, and then detail your observations. And the observations will look a bit like this. So what we're going to do is add comments to those screenshots, and so that you can, and the point in that is that we can get that comment to the point in that website or a specific area. So what we don't want to do is a kind of a list of comments here and then a screenshot there, and it's difficult to relate them. We want to put comments, a bit like post-its on a website, so that we know where to look and what that comment is about. So this is just an example. So if we're talking about distraction, then we'd have a blue comment here, and if it's got a red cross, then that means that we've violated the UX principle. If it's got a green tick, then that means we've adhered to it. So green's good, red's bad, or red means maybe it's good but it could do with some improvement. Here's a breakdown of what the different colors mean and how we categorize things. So based on those 3 core UX principles of value, friction, and distraction, we've got yellow, green, and blue. And this just gives you a guide on to like which comments to use for which areas. And then the checklist. So to navigate through the audit, it's useful to have prompts and questions in your head about those UX principles, so you know how to categorize your comments and then ultimately how to score it at the end in areas of focus. These 3 key pages cover those 3 UX principles. So first, value. Are we communicating value to the user? How can we increase user motivation? How can we make them do what we want them to do? If we look at clarity of messaging, for example, look at your headlines. For example, if we've got a jewelry store, then is our kind of, say we're on the homepage, is our key title or key headline, this is a jewelry store with some nice gold jewelry? Or do we say something like, elevate your style with our exclusive handcrafted jewelry? Same thing, but the example here is pushing the benefits versus just being clear about what we do. So there's one thing in being clear and saying, yes, this is what this website is, or this product page is, or this app does, or this section, this area within this website does. But we also want to motivate people. So we want to be clear and we want to motivate them. And we can do that by expressing the benefits. So this, for example, is elevate your style. So people want to do that when they're thinking about jewelry because it's purely decorative. With our exclusive handcrafted jewelry, so handcrafted would be a major benefit and maybe a unique selling point of that website. So there's just one example of the kind of things we're looking for when we look at value. We also look at things like trust signals, so certifications, badges, user reviews, they're really helpful. So if we can show testimonials, reviews, and then also review ratings, that's really helpful to the user, especially if they're a first-time user, they've never come across the brand and they want to trust them. So that just enhances that trust immediately. And there's a few more pointers in there and examples just to help you. Frictions, we want to identify areas causing any doubts and hesitations. What makes the process difficult? How can we make it easier? First of all, we'd look at page speed, and I'll go through that in a minute and how to do that. Then we'd look at things like carousels. Do carousels kind of automatically slide back and forth, and can the user control them? If so, then, or if they can't control them, then make sure you switch any auto rotate off and that the user can control them. That's a major point of friction in any given website or app. And then also look at things like navigation. Is it obvious? Does the navigation clearly state where the user's going to go if they're going to click on that item of navigation? If not, then it's going to make it difficult and they may hesitate on clicking it and therefore not go deeper into the site or the app that they're in front of. And then the final bit of final point, distraction. So find out what's not helping the user take action, and we want to look at things that are needlessly drawing attention, and our goal is to focus users on where we want them to go and also where they want to go. So if you understand their goal is, I want to buy this product, then how do we get them to that product and help them to buy it? I know that seems really simplistic, but you wouldn't believe on how many e-commerce websites that I come across where there's so many products that actually you're so distracted by what to choose, you can't even get to the point of buying that product. So understanding where you want your users to go and what you want them to focus on is really, really important. So distractions about eliminating unnecessary content, minimizing interruptions like pop-ups. Pop-ups are fine, but if a user goes to your homepage and in the first 2 seconds a pop-up comes up and gets in their way, it's likely they're going to be distracted. They might click on that versus going to the thing you wanted them to, or worse, they might just actually give up and leave your website and go to the next one that hasn't got a pop-up. And then look at things like your content, consistent layouts, and white space. Really important one, and that comes under the kind of accessibility category, because we want enough breathing room around things so that people can actually take it in and digest it. If everything's too cramped, it's really difficult, makes it really difficult to read, and especially for users that may have kind of certain disabilities, or maybe that they've got dyslexia, so reading's quite tricky and reading big blocks of text is tricky. Then making sure we've got enough white space and we actually space things out nicely and give them that breathing room will just enhance that readability and the accessibility of the overall page or website. And then also look at your content hierarchy. So does the important thing come first? So if we think of a website, they're likely going to land at the top and then scroll down. The top needs to be the prioritized sort of content that you want people to see. And then further down the page, you still might have content, but it's got less of priority. It might be subsequent content that helps them to, if they can't find the thing they want. So such as frequently asked questions. And then the final thing is scoring and key points, which I'll go through in a sec. So for each criteria or for each UX principle, you want to score it a 5 out of 5. 5 is best, 1 is worse. So we'll look at how to do that in a sec. And this just makes sure that you're not only leaving comments, but you're scoring each section. And in scoring things, then we can prioritize what to work on. So it might be that that website has scored 5 out of 5 for distraction, which is great. There's no distraction, but they've scored a 1 out of 5 for friction. And therefore we look at the points of friction and get those fixed. So scoring is really important in helping you to prioritize areas to look at. This is what the template looks like. So first of all, we've got the introduction. What I've put in here is a logo already. You can see I've put the Patagonia logo in, and I'll go through how to do that in a sec. And then we want to put the brand name, and it says client website here, but you can just put brand website. Just put the URL of the website. If you're doing multiple pages, just put the overarching URL. If you're doing one page, you could put just that one URL in here, but you can also put it in the next page too. Okay, so let's go through the next section. So first of all, I'm just going to go to the header. I'm just going to, in Figma, I'm just going to show my UI tools. So on the left here is all your layers, and there's all your tools there. Don't worry too much about all of that. You won't need to use that. If you're not familiar with Figma, that might freak you out, but it's all fine. So this, it's got a purple outline around it. That means it's a local component. So when we update it, it'll update all of these headers here. That just makes it quicker for you. So if I head into here and actually remove this logo, I'm going to move my face, then we can see that we've got the option of just putting the brand name in there if we don't want to bring the logo in, or it could just be the name of the website, or we can bring the logo in. And to do that, basically all you've got to do is head to your browser. I've searched for Patagonia logo, and then I just copy the image, and then I'm going to bring it into here. I'm just going to hide this just so it goes, and then paste it there, and it'll probably be the wrong size, so I'm just going to scale that in. So if I just hide that, you can see I've done this multiple times, and then I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller so our header doesn't get huge. And then same with that one. Just going to make that smaller. Just see what size that is. 62. Okay, there we go. So we've got our logo in. So that's the first thing. And then we want the website and the page speed and score, that actually gets done in the individual template. So we've got a logo in, so that will just flow across all of the template. And then once you've done that, you want to put the URL in of the specific page, and then the page speed and score. For this example, I'm going to use Patagonia's men's micro puff hoodie product, and I'll show you the completed UX audit so you can see that. So if I want to do the page speed and score, I just copy that up here, and then just go to Google's Page Insights. So if you just go to Google Page Speed Insights, spell it incorrectly, and Google will get you there. Paste that URL into here, hit analyze, and for these UX audits we're using the mobile version. You can use the desktop version of the site if you want to. We use the mobile version a lot because everything that we can learn from the mobile we can just push to desktop. So doing this page speed score, this will give you the site speed and the overall scores. So it's going to take a minute, so I'm just going to pause this. Okay, so the report's done, and we can see that the overall score for performance is 28, which is bad. But if we, to get this page speed, we look at the page speed index. So in this case, it's 12.9 seconds. Just to know, I have run this before and it has been 1 second. So you might want to just do it a couple of times just to make sure that it's correct. So what we do here then is pop in 12.9 seconds into there, and I also color it red just so that we know that really quickly looking at this we can see the page speed isn't great. And then go back to the score, and we just take that score 28 and let's do 28 out of 100, and again just make that red so you can quickly see that there's issues with that. So that's the first thing that we look at, because if you solve that issue, you're going to solve a lot of friction, points of friction, and also value as well. If your site doesn't load fast, then people don't maybe take it as seriously or trust it. So we've done that bit, and then you can just put the URL in. Usually I'll just put, some URLs are quite long, like this one here. So what I might do is actually just take that, maybe just that bit there. Then if I grab the whole URL, you should, if you just press on a Mac Apple K, then you can just paste the URL in there, and that just means that people can click it and go to it, and also remind you of the URL. Okay, so you've got the header set up now, so that's all good. This one can stay as is, this one can stay as is. And then if you've got multiple pages, all you need to do is click this whole frame, and then if you just hit Command D, or you just right click it and then duplicate it. And then I just usually move this one over here and then paste it, and it's gonna land there. Okay, and then pop it in there, and then you can make as many as you want. Usually I try and limit to 1 or 2 or 3 depending on what I'm doing, and then just create separate audits for separate areas. So that's the setup, and then the final bit before we go into what an actual UX audit looks like is to get our screenshot. So first of all, we go into, I'm just going to close this a minute so you can see this is the desktop site. So like I said, we look at the mobile site, and then if you just go to see the mobile, if you go to developer and then inspect elements, and it probably will look like this with all this code on the side. Just hit that little icon there, and you go into mobile view, and you can change which version of the mobile. We use the iPhone 12 Pro for our audits. Sometimes we use the 14. It really depends on what we want to look at. And then 2 things you can do. You can either capture a screenshot, and that will get all of that, or you can capture the full size screenshot, and that will get the whole web page. So if I just do this, you can see how long it will be. So let's just take a look. So you can see it captures the whole thing, which is really helpful. And then also we can just capture that area if we're just talking about or reviewing just that area. Okay, then I'm just going to click into here, and you can see that we've got some rectangles set up there, because that just gives you the size of which you need, where you need to put your screenshot. And delete that text box, and then go to File and Place Image and Video, or you can hit Command Shift and K. Okay, I'm just going to bring in the short version. Actually, I'm going to bring the long version just to show you what Figma does. So if I just place that, you can see that Figma's got some sort of image compression, and it makes it a little bit blurry. So watch out for that. So one way we get around that at Factory Pattern is to take a full screenshot, break it up into slices or individual images using Photoshop or Figma, and then bring them in as individual images so they're not blurry. And so I'm just going to undo that, and I'll bring in, for the purposes of this, just that smaller screenshot that we saw before, which is that one, and it should be nice and clear. So it places it in there, and then it might do this. If it zooms into it, all you've got to do is just go to fit, and then it reduces the width to that 410, and then just hit 0 on there. So I'm just going to bring that down. Okay, that's going to take a lot of fiddling around. You know what? I'm just going to undo that. So these are the things you might come across with the UX Audit Template. So if you just don't select that, or maybe just select that group, hit Command Shift K to bring an image, or go File, Image, Place, and then bring this in here. So that kind of brings it outside of the group. And then I'm just going to cut that, paste it inside there, line up with that grey box neatly, and then go 410, because that's the width that we want for our audits. And then what you can do is just delete, also amend this here. So that's all set up now to comment, and the next thing we do is start adding the comments, and then we add the headlines of those comments here. So let's go through an example just so you can see that. So the Patagonia audit that I've been kind of using for this example is actually set up here. You can see the final one here with all the comments on, looking beautiful. So I'll just go through this step by step. So this is a blank one. So we've brought the screenshot in, we've done our page speed and score. You can see it got 1.4 seconds, and actually I think that even got, I'm gonna put 100 there because it actually got 100 out of 100. So then next step, so I've set these up as separate slides, but you just do all in one. So you can just see step by step. I've added a comment. So if I want to do that, if I just, so the comment's open already in the template. So say I wanted to add I can see a confusing drop down here, then I'll start writing about that. I've got the comment in ready. If I wanted to add a fresh comment, all I do is duplicate, so copy and paste. I'll paste it in place. Now, if I want this over to the left-hand side, we've created a variation of this. All of these little comments are components, and they've got variations. If we just take a look at this one, for example, you'll see that it's got a variation to it. And actually, let's just take a look, because I don't think that's brought the library in. So give me a minute. Okay, so these have actually got those in. I'm going to just get rid of those. Right, let's just bring a fresh one in. Okay, there we go. Right, so what you'll see is it says friction comment here, and then UX Audit components, and then you'll see the different colors of comments. If you wanted the value comment, it's yellow, distraction blue, and friction green. So one of the things on here is there's a hidden search, which is there. So I bring it up to here so it's relevant to that. And then if I wanted to set up the other comment, so that was that confusing drop down one, but I wanted it on the right hand side, and I flip it. So you keep the same component, but you just change the variable. So it's friction violated, and then it'll be friction violated left, because this little bit is on the left. Okay, let's pop that in there. And then you just change this title. When it comes to numbering them, don't worry about that too much at this stage. I'll just run through that after it. The default one just sets start, I think, as 1.1. So if we say confusing drop down, and then this drop down may cause confusion, it doesn't mention free delivery. So the issue with this drop down, I'm just going to show you for context, is that it talks about free delivery, but then the first title talks about a salmon nation. So that may cause friction because they hit that expecting to see free delivery, but actually free delivery, I think it's even mentioned, but shipping information's mentioned there. So I say that's quite a high point of friction because they've clicked it. It's not what they expect, and therefore people start getting annoyed with it. That's why we've put that there. And then in terms of these numbers, the friction is 2. So what we do is start with 2.0, and that will be the confusing drop down. And then the next one down, so in terms of kind of the vertical axis, so if we've got hidden search here, then I'll go, right, this is 2.1. And what that allows me to do then is I take that comment confusing drop down, and it's in here already, but I'm going to change that to 2.0. Zoom in on that. And then 2.1 is hidden search. And the reason we just put this summary here is so that we can quickly just review it when maybe we come back to it, or when we're trying to think about what the key points are. You start to see themes, but if we just putting the headings in here is just a reminder of where it is, and the reason we put the numbers in is so that we can refer back. So I know 2.0 is confusing drop down, so I can relate to that, go back to that point there, and then I can just see the context of what that means. So this just makes that kind of quicker. Then if I wanted to add something about value, then I just bring in a component, and the value component was the comment, and then I decide whether it's violated or adhered to, and then get that in place. So, and in the other video where we explain UX audits and how to do a UX audit, that will tell you what to look for and how to use the UX principles. Like I said, this is just based on how to bring things in. If I want to bring in a value component, then you just hit this little icon up here, resources, and then you should see it in recents, but if it's not there, you can search for it too. And I want to bring in a value comment, so that will just place itself. So by default, you can see that it's just got a value heading and further details breaking down the guidance, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe I'm just going to look at my finished audit. So I said something about high quality visual, and I want to put this on the right hand or the left hand side with a right hand little label there, and it's adhered to. So then the value adhered right. So pop that in there, and then I'm going to put high quality visual. I won't type the rest, and then this will be 1.0. And so I can put in here high quality visual. And then if I went, oh, actually, no, I need this to be on the right hand side, because I start filling this up with comments. I flip this over and then just change that variation to that, and they'll just put that little label on the left hand side, then allow me to stick it on the right. So once you've got your comments in, then you score it. Scoring it is explained in the UX audit tutorial, so I won't go through that. But this is what a sort of finished one might look like. So you've got all of your beautiful comments here all the way through the audit, and then you've got the highlights here. You can see this starts with 1.1, but actually we've found it's actually better to start with 1.0. So then on to the final bit of scoring. So in the scoring section, you've got to change your hat like I have now. So that's the first step. And then the next step is there's two sections to this. Actually, there's three. So there's the average score here, then a specific score based on those three principles. And then you've got key takeaways. So I'm just going to go through the average score here. So this is 4 out of 5. So you've got 5 squares. You fill in the number of squares and match these numbers up. If it was a 3.5, because we're taking an average score and sometimes they come out a bit weird. If it's 3.5 out of 5, all you do is select that red square there, and then you just scrub that, and then just shift it in and just make that thinner. So that's 3.5 out of 5. And then what you want to understand is the scoring, and how to do the scoring is explained in how to do a UX audit video. This is about using the template. So I'm just going to show you how to move this little triangle. So if, for example, value was 5 out of 5, friction was 3 out of 5, you just move it there, and distraction was 4 out of 5, you move it there. So in terms of the triangle, you've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the middle. The bigger the red triangle, the better the score, in other words. And so what you're looking for is nice big red triangles. And so that's how you move each point. Sometimes I tend to zoom in depending on how well my eyes are doing that day and how accurate I want that to be. So you can just zoom right in and just make that a bit easier for yourself. So that's that bit. I'm just going to undo that. And in terms of key takeaways, so take all of the comments here. So all you're going to do is copy these. So I copied the heading, and then I copy this sentence or two sentences here. Pop them all into a document, and so you can get them all together in one document. Copy all of that out, pop it into something like ChatGPT or a similar AI tool that you've got, and ask it to summarize the key points. And I usually go for kind of 3 to 4 key points, because any more than that, you've just repeated all of these comments. And so get to summarize the points, aim for 3 or 4 key points, and just make sure that they're prioritized. So in here, for example, we've said enhance the user engagement, making search box visible, and reducing user effort and potential frustration, because that was a major friction point in here. And so I'd say that was quite a high priority, because they're going to get quite a quick win from that. So that's where you need to use a bit of intuition and decide what's what. How to do that is in the UX audit video. For the purposes of the template, we just use a numbered list and you just put a title and then the summary of the point there in terms of key takeaways. And once you've done all that, it's ready to share it to the world. So if you want to share it with key stakeholders, with colleagues, with clients, with your mum, all you've got to do, go to share, and then you've got a couple of options on share. You can just share it with anyone you give the link to. You can share it with a password, so if you hit that, you can just add a password with it if you just wanted to protect it, or you can just put only people you invited to this file. So if you click that, just put their emails in, they'll get an email with the link, and then you can also copy the link and send that to them there as well. But if you just want to open it right up, anyone with the link, copy that, and there you have it. You can share it to the world and show them your UX review. So good luck with the template and get auditing. Woohoo!